Hey, welcome to All Things Gender Equality. My name is Kavin, and I will be your host for today. My pronouns are he, him, and
Joined by him today is his co-host Mika, who goes by they pronouns. Sorry, just clarification.
alright, so for today's episode of our podcast, our very first episode, and I'm so glad to be doing it with Mika. And our topic for today is going to be about gender dysphoria. So, trigger warning, gender dysphoria, mental health stigma, and perhaps even body dysmorphia. Alright, so we'll be getting right into it. And I just want to say, because I was looking into it, I kind of had like a brief notion of what gender dysphoria is. And I did do a bit of research, and apparently it's about like the mismatch of like your biological sex and gender identity. So perhaps you could have been assigned male at birth, but as you grow up, you face gender dysphoria and you just have this preference over more feminine characteristics, perhaps like makeup or like playing with dolls and stuff like that. So it's very interesting to me. What's your take on what's your understanding of gender dysphoria?
I mean, dysphoria is mostly like a most social thing. It's not really like a what's this again? It's not an illness, but it could lead into one because the feelings could manifest into something more intense. But from my understanding, it's similar to yours, but it's more of the social, physical implications of it. Like, I want to live as a girl. I'm not satisfied in my body. I'm not satisfied in how I present myself, gender identity wise or sexual orientation. And then there's also like wanting to experiment with something that's not of your gender norm, like as you said, like boys not being able to play with nail polish because it's feminine, and girls playing with boys toys like trains or cars because it's not feminine and whatnot. So
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think more on a more on a personal experience. I've actually grown up very close to my sisters, so I was very much exposed to a lot of what society would call feminine, like Barbie movies. Like, tell me what's your favorite Barbie movie? Actually, mine has to be Princess and the Pauper.
Oh,
mine has to be that.
That's popular everywhere. Mine was Barbie in the Diamond Castle.
Oh, that was actually all of the Barbie movies are really aesthetic. I also really like 12 Dancing Princesses a lot.
You don't like it?
No, I love it. I'm saying that I absolutely love it. I used to imagine like in my room, like stepping on the stones and just walking into like another realm of magic. And and coming to like a more personal perspective, I have grown up with an exposure to a lot of feminine things, and I really enjoyed it. And when I was in school, I remember having a specific distaste for sports, which I remember getting bullied for. Like as a boy, you should like playing football, you should know how to play football. And I tried, trust me, I tried, because obviously peer pressure at that age, of course. And I just couldn't bring myself to play well, neither did I even like it. So, and then growing up also just, I played bridesmaids with my cousins and sisters, and it was just something I felt that was liberating for me in a sense. And of course, I think a sense of gender dysphoria, because I've been told all my life that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, and to finally be able at this point of my life at least, to be able to express that in a very open manner, it's nice. It's nice.
Boys definitely get more scrutiny for like having interest in feminine stuff, because growing up for me, even if I grew up very feminine. I was a very girly girl. I loved pink. I loved everything girly. I wanted makeup. I wanted to be pretty and all those, like all the girls you see on magazine. Like, I mostly was interested in my brother's toys growing up, and then also like masculine interests like carpentry, or like whenever I help out around the house, be like when I was making my bed, I was building it from IKEA. I was like talking about it in church once, and then my classmates somewhat they were like judging me. They were like whispering like this, like, "Oh, she's not into carpentry. What about that?" I'm like, okay, so what? Like, it's a necessary life skill. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's not like I'd be hurting other people. It's just something I do, or it's like something I'm interested in. Even though equipment can be quite pricey. Like you can get some cheap screwdrivers in DIY, right? Yeah, but like at the same time, it's like a lot of equipment to bring with you.
Yeah.
Or it's like you don't really get to move that frequently or deal with equipment on the daily. Like you got someone, you can call your own maintenance for that. But besides that, besides the carpentry stuff, I'm also into sports. I'm the opposite. I love sports. So I used
Really?
right. So like I was forced into basketball by my dad because he was like, oh, this camp would seem really cool for you guys. So I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I go into camp. It's mostly boys, but they're not even that good. And then because it's mostly a group sport as well, so I'd always be ignored. Like literally, like I'd be free, sitting in the corner, like I'd be over here, everyone else would be hogging the ball near the basket. And I'd be like, guys, pass it to me, I can shoot from here. And they'd be like, no, you're a girl, you can't do it.
Oh, that's the worst.
You can't do that crowd. But one time I shot a 3-pointer.
Well, she proved them wrong, clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you were talking about like carpentry, and it really reminded me of like our syllabus in school in Malaysia at least. We have like a particular subject called Kemahiran Hidup, and the girls and boys would be separated. Girls would have to do ERT, which is basically, I think it means economy rumah tangga, which by the name of it already sounds a bit discriminatory. And for the males, we were meant to do Kemahiran Technical. So from there, from a very early set on, we were just taught to like, oh, women are just supposed to learn how to cook and do stitching, and guys are supposed to know how to plumb and like electricity. And I'm just here like, hello, I would like to know how to bake a good cake. Like, do I look like I want to know how to clean a toilet? Like, no thanks. Like,
so easy,
you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not that it's something that. It's just very disappointing that like we're not allowed to explore our gender freely, and I think that creates a lead to being gender dysphoric, you know, and we're not actually given a talk or even exposure to being able to practice these things despite like societal constructs and whatnot. It's just that we're just forced to just follow what it is, and it's just disappointing, and it creates what we know as now today gender dysphoria. And having personally experienced it, I remember just having my female classmates, you know, come back and they just like finish cooking food and everything. I'm like, oh my god, that's so fun. And then the same for them too. What if some of them probably did not enjoy that and would have probably preferred to do electric stuff? You know what I mean? And it's just not fair to like, you know, put people in a box and just expect them to confine to that space, you know, that limited space. And I feel like a lot of gender dysphoria just stems from, at least from my personal experience, stems from just being trapped in a box and not being allowed to like explore and be open with myself. And I'm really glad that I actually am able to do that now. A little shout out to the camera woman behind the camera right now. She did my makeup. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's a beautiful pink and liner. And you know, I appreciate the circle that I'm with Mika, who's just been really supportive of like my transition in just understanding what it means to be non-binary in a way, you know, although I do identify as he, him, but I strongly believe that your gender identity does not have to be a still one. It does not have to be one that does not change. It's a spectrum. It goes wherever it wants to go, and you're allowed to have that change. Yeah.
Especially under this, a lot of gender norms are very, very, very rigid. Like, it's really frustrating to not be able to explore, as you've expressed. And also, like, whenever you want to go out of that norm, especially when you're assigned male at birth, it's 10 times harder. Being a gay man is being 10 times harder, because you want to be like all slay at this, you're being flamboyant, but then you get stared at in the train if you're painting your nails or you dress a certain way. And like, people behind your back would say stuff about you. But when you're assigned female at birth, you could mostly get away with a lot of stuff, actually. Like, it's normal, like, I can't mention that I can't mention a figure, but I was gonna say Harry Styles. They like, guys can wear dresses and they be some shamed, some would be empowered, but normally they'd be very criticized for it. It's like, what are you wearing a dress for? It doesn't even suit you, like it doesn't flatter your figure. Then you have women or those assigned female at birth, and they'd be like wearing like suits and tux, and it's like normal because pants weren't really introduced in like normal until like the 60s, 70s after World War II, because it was mostly skirts and dresses. So then they'd be like, oh, women can wear suits, it's so slay, it's so yas, like you're very girl boss, but even the term itself is pretty but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that also heavily relates to the fact that we live in a society where patriarchy resides, and that naturally just means that when men decide to not follow the social construct, it's deemed inappropriate, it's deemed disgusting even. But I understand where you're coming from. It is sometimes difficult. I feel like you talk about I think someone who's quite prominently in my mind right now, Elliot Page, and and it's kind of like a very strong struggle to express yourself in a way that is very different from how you've lived your life up until the point that you've changed, and like it's just a journey for everyone. I feel like gender dysphoria is just something that everyone experiences in their own light. And in what you're saying, it's like for men, like the patriarchy resides so strongly that we get very physically like bullied, to the point where I've heard so many news of like just gay men being murdered by their own family, their fathers, because they presented feminine, or maybe they were just having different sexualities. It's just so disappointing. And I'm really glad that we have women to pave the way, in the sense that they're using tuxes or just not conforming with the traditional feminine norm, and it kind of gives this saving grace for men to also experience with feminine qualities, because there is a lot of people who are, I feel like we live in a society where it's very herd mentality like, and having that, even for me personally, like seeing people do things that they're doing so openly and freely, it was very relieving, and like it made me feel safe. I've attended queer events and I see them dressed up all nicely, and nobody's following any norms at this point. We're all just living on this unimaginable spectrum, and it's just amazing to know that you have people just like you who's experiencing gender dysphoria and it's going through the same things as you, and we have our backs at the end of the day.
Yeah, we gotta have each other's backs in this hard world too. And especially for everyone experiencing gender dysphoria, just know that we're here for you. We're here to listen to you, support you, and uplift you, and that you're not alone. If you need any help, then when your emotions evolve into something a lot more intensive, like into dysmorphia, where you feel like you're harming yourself, please do feel free to reach out to the hotline for Sunway, for the counseling hotlines that are available. They recently changed it, so do look out for the new number. And also feel free to talk to your friends, or reach out to a family member or any adult figure or relatives or mentors in your life that you feel supported by and comfortable sharing and opening up to. You're not alone in this, and you're valid.
Yeah, and we will definitely do our best to link everything down in the caption so that you're able to access these, not only for Sunway University students, but anyone watching this. If you're feeling like you're alone and no one's there for you, well, you can just tune into this video again and just rewatch it. We are here for you. We will be uploading every month, and we hope to see you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, that was Gender Dysphoria, and I'm Kavin.
And I'm Micah.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.